meeting to order, 7:45. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with section 3D of chapter 231 of the public laws of 1975, commonly known as the Sunshine Law. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moore,
Here.
Nelson, here, Keith,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Here.
Randolph,
Here.
Pogrodnik.
Here.
Thank you.
A motion open for public comment.
Make that motion for public comment.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public
Aye.
comment? I see none on the screen or in public, so motion closed.
Make the motion to close.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
A motion to adopt resolution 2022.41, authorizing transfer of appropriation reserves during the last 2 months of the fiscal year.
Make the motion appropriate the last 2 months.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
A motion to adopt resolution 2022.42, authorizing the opening of the municipal brush dump in association with cleanup day.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And a motion to adopt resolution 2022.43, hiring and establishing conditions of employment for the Bethlehem Township Administrator.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No. I'm voting no as well, because it's about the position, not anything about the person.
Okay, Steve, that was a no for you?
Yeah, no, nothing against Jen or anything like that, but I still feel we don't need an administrator, so.
Okay, understood. Motion carries at 3-2. So Jen Mooney will be serving as the administrator, as CFO. And we're excited to have that position back to help us save money for residents and help our staff be more efficient.
Is there a start date on that?
May 1st.
Okay.
So we had a shared, just so residents, so we had a shared service agreement as CFO with Lebanon Borough, and so that will cease at the end of April 30th, and then May 1st will be the start date.
Also, it's just a reference as far as terminology, it was referring to the committee and then referring to reporting to the board.
Yeah, the committee, board manager.
Yeah, it's just a typographical.
And can I have a motion to pay all bills in the amount of $48,078.89?
I'll make the motion to pay the bills, and now,
Second,
Second.
roll call vote,
Keith,
Yes,
Lindsay,
Yes.
Nelson. Yes. Randolph,
Yes.
Moore.
please. Yes. Report, Mr. Engineer, Mr. Decker, excuse me. There was no additional report from the last meeting. Report public safety officials. I actually just spoke to the Trooper Walsh right before this meeting. He's unable to attend, but if there are any concerns, I can take those back to him either later tonight or tomorrow morning.
I have one comment, which may have been addressed, that comes from the community bulletin board about the rest stop at the top of 173.
Okay.
And the amount of time that trucks, or there's a camper sitting there right now, like, is there a statutory limit as to how long they can stay there? Residents have asked that question.
I agree. I've seen the one truck there for about 3 weeks now, so I'll ask Trooper Walsh about that. And then I had residents had a concern about potential illegal activity at the Heritage Park early in the morning. So, we will be, that I already spoke to them about, but I will add the 173.
Yeah,
is some of that space also you gonna factor in how it's zoned? It's a big property, but it's in like a foot in each area. That might be a factor. Okay.
Anything else to take back home? Okay. There is no old business. Under new business, we have discussion, acceptance and agreement to care for artifacts on the Leak Farm property. Can I have a motion open?
Make the motion open.
Second,
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So this just came from, I had a meeting about actually open space issues with Mr. Jimenez, John Jimenez. Is our open space chair, many members, our deputy mayor for many years. The gentleman that he had originally purchased this house from was an archaeologist and is a historic preservation specialist consultant, still working in the field well into his 80s. And while he was here, he had permission to do archaeological digs on the Bleak Farm in the 70s and 80s, and has recovered artifacts and kept those in his personal collection, some dating back to 1200, early pottery, and then there are indigenous items that he's found also. So he has offered to donate those to the town, but I wanted to bring that up here because I said if we do that, since I'm in the museum field, we need to assume the responsibility of properly caring for those. I would like to have them on display either in this room or in the hallway. I don't think they'll take up much space. We can find a cabinet or case to protect them properly. So, but there is a cost to assuming them and caring for them. So I just want to make sure the committee is on board.
Absolutely.
Would these be, the donated to ours, would these become that property of the township, or are they still his property on
They
land?
would- No, that would be property of the township, and we'll do some sort of agreement to that effect.
Do we need to work anything with the historical
I
society?
was gonna reach out to them to make sure that they're involved, because I think it's an exciting thing that we don't always have for the members of that organization.
Well, especially if you're saying some of the stuff goes back to the 1200s, and we're talking about, if it's not stone items, there might be some special care needs that we have to be aware of, with continuing preservation.
Yes,
We would need a display case.
yes.
Oh, at minimum.
How big are these things?
They would probably fit like in a either a tiered cube display case, is like what I've been described, so. We had some, I don't know, if some remember what I was describing, it was probably like 2009, 10, we had on loan from the State Historic Commission. Items from the Swayze mine across the way, and they fit in like a 2.5 by 3 maybe cubicle 4-tier display cabinet in the main hallway. And this would be similar to that. It's not luminous. We wouldn't be filling any rooms. So you have a motion to close?
Motion closed.
Second?
Motion to approve acceptance and care for these artifacts.
Make a motion, accept the artifacts.
Have a second?
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hey, Paul, I got a quick question. Are we gonna have a cap on his amount that we're gonna spend, or just whatever we gotta do, we gotta do?
We can put a cap on it, once we know the exact volume of them. The gentleman said he will deliver them to us. He lives in upstate New York now, he'll deliver them to us. So once we see the
Okay,
exact
so,
volume, we'll put on, we can put on the agenda, you know, what we need to purchase. We'll consult.
yeah, you gotta see how big of a cabinet you need, and we'll go from there.
And there may
At
be
this point, we need to amend the agenda, the resolution, just because we gave an open-ended yes, which I'm in favor of doing, this is pretty cool. But for the sake of,
I think we'll come back with an actual resolution
Yeah, we
then.
don't have a resolution
It
yet.
is just a
Oh,
discussion.
okay.
Yeah, it's just a
So once we
discussion.
know what it is, we'll come back with an actual resolution with some cost. I think, I haven't been in the original municipal building, but I think there might be a case or two in there, but we'll talk to the historic society about that, because they're under their purveyance. So there might not be any cost of much of anything. Report of township attorney?
The only thing that I have to report is, we got an inquiry for the purchase of 31 Delaware Way for a single-family residential. It's a lot that is owned wholly by Bethlehem Township. Tom Decker, the town engineer, looked. There's no regulated wetlands on the site. Raw land for a buildable lot, is probably $80,000 to $120,000, and provides a rateable. Of course, it has to be done by auction, public auction, but I would assume that was given to the town as part of that development. I can't think of any other reason. It's also next to the detention basin and some other stormwater management systems there. But if it's a good buildable lot, and Tom Decker should make a somewhat of an inquiry, check it out, then it could be both a good rateable and a new custom home, and certainly something to consider.
And they only want to put one home on, because I have heard that that might be more than one home, which I'm not sure that would be doable.
Well, I don't know what, I think this, my preliminary research indicates that, the zoning has, the lot size is tight for two houses there.
Right, which is why I want to make sure that they know what
I think
they're,
they would be bound by whatever zoning is there.
Yeah.
So they probably need variance if they were to do that.
that's
They,
what I, yeah.
they may need a variance anyway, depending on the lot area,
Mhm.
the setbacks, but
Correct.
it certainly looks like it's in conformity with the rest of the lots on Diller Way and
Okay.
across the street. So, it's, could be some found money for the municipality.
That'd be great.
So we'll wait for Mr. Decker's assessment. I don't want to be in a position where we're stating that it is a buildable lot. I just want to get
Right.
an assessment
Yeah.
that there's nothing that precludes it.
Yeah,
From being sold.
Yes.
right. We need to do a little bit of preliminary research, obviously, the problem becomes one of timing because you don't want to spend the money to get the approvals and then have a public auction without the certainty of getting it. And then on the flip side, you don't want to buy a property in an auction without the certainty that it would be contingent on the approval. So we need to kind of take a little closer look to see if it really is buildable. If it's completely buildable, then put it up for auction and see what happens.
Right.
With a good upset price.
Very good. Any questions, Mr. Ryan, about anything else? Report of Health and Safety Coordinator, Mr. Lindsay.
Not much to report right now. We had a meeting scheduled for this morning, that was canceled, rescheduled for next Thursday. Also, I spoke with Chris and the mayor. I'm going to bring in a training unit defibrillator and just do a quick review of some of the employees here. Get them accustomed to how to handle the defibrillators that we have here in Town Hall and over next door. Mr. Randolph, you want to join me that day to help out?
Absolutely.
I'll send it out to you, and once we find out the logistics, we're looking there.
Excellent. Thank you. Report of Finance Coordinator, Ms. Nelson.
So as everybody on here knows, and I thank the committee for helping me go through all the contracts that we've been going through as they come up for renewal. This week, Del Val Septic came up for the porta potties in Heritage Park. We are getting a rate increase, $25 per unit per month, which is hefty. So I spoke with them yesterday and I was like, okay, what can you do? It's gonna be a gas surcharge for now. But I said that they told me to revisit this within 30 days and hopefully we can get that per porta potty charge down to just a $25 for both. So we'll see. So I'd like to thank the committee though for working with me on all of these contracts as we plow through them.
Yeah.
Two, but one's an ADA and that's much more expensive.
And report of Finance Coordinator, also Ms. Nelson.
So I guess I will lump this in with land use, but I think it pertains right now more for the township and the Highlands update. Elena has decided to put in the RFQ for the planner position, which will be great for both the committee and the planning board. She has already been in touch with Judy at the Highlands about some of the projects that we'd like to do. But we're gonna go through the process, like we talked at the planning board meeting, she's gonna put in the RFQ this week, she's already started the process, and then it'd be up for us in the committee and the board to approve her.
Judy, what's the full name? Elena?
Oh, I don't have it with me at the moment, I'll have to get that for you, Chris. Okay. Got it, TBD.
Anything else?
Well, I guess one last thing is we have hired a planning board secretary, which is gonna be great. She starts Monday and will begin the onboarding process, and she will actually be at the planning board meeting Monday night.
Report of governing body members, Mr. Lindsay.
Nothing to report this time.
Mr. Keith.
Just want to report that everybody knows that Blackbrook is going to be closed tomorrow for the street repair on the basin we're doing. Carl's doing really good. I speak to him quite often, and he's doing really good. Jeff's doing a great job with everything. Hello?
Can
Hello?
you hear?
Okay, Jeff's doing a really good job. Just want to remind everybody that we're having our town cleanup and we're having the clothing drive. So that's basically about it.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Mr. Randolph?
I've got nothing, just one question for Steve, since we do have on the 30th, is there any action we have to take since this is the last meeting before the cleanup day and the clothing drive on our end to be ready for that? We're pretty much set finances, there's no things that we should be taking action on or being prepared for. I can't think of any, but I just want to put it out
Hey,
there.
Steve, is there anything operational that you know that we need? I think, finance and everything else, that's taken care of, they bill after they take everything out, but is there anything that we need to help set up with, Steve?
As far as what now, the cleanup day or?
Either one, we're here to.
No, I mean, I'm self-sufficient over there and I think Jeff's pretty much well to go, so.
Excellent.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Elson, anything to add?
Just a couple of quick things. I'd like to thank the DPW for doing a really great job at preparing the park for spring. The park looks to be in great shape, so thank you to them for that. It's beautiful. And one other thing, there's a video on our website on the West Portal Creek, and I encourage all residents to go out there and view it. I don't know how long it's gonna be up there for, Lou, because it's really good.
It's a really good video, and, we'll leave it up as long as, we need to leave it up.
Okay. I'd like it up there for a while. My only regret on it is that my house isn't featured because I live on the West Portal Creek, but that's okay. I'll forgive them for that.
The sequel.
Yeah, the houses along the West Portal Creek, right? Yeah, no, and thank you to all the volunteers, because since the soap spill back in 2016, which actually Brad and I reported, we were the first ones to report, and Greg Blazer was actually one of the first on the scene. It's made a nice rebound, so that's good. It's not 100%, but it's getting there. So that's it.
Thank you. Report of mayor. I have one discussion item that we can bring up, and I believe Carl's with us. The historic barn on the Lee farm collapsed about a month ago at this point, as many know. So we did this one thing the administrator would have helped out with. We had a grant in place that was never executed to save it, but it is where we are now, and the safety of our residents in our park is of utmost concern. We still want to honor and recognize that history. So in speaking with Ms. Nelson and Mr. Randolph, we're looking to save the cupola, which Carl and I were just, Carl, I think he was on the call, but we were just texting back and forth. He can save that. So based on safety, he went out and got 2 quotes to remove the building. One from Matarazzo Excavating and one from D&B. Matarazzo's came in at $39.50, and then D&B is $3,200, but doesn't include removing the concrete. That's an additional daily rate of $1,600. So on a flat rate, Matarazzo is less expensive, and we know what it is. The other challenge, though, is neither one of those at that rate include removal of the debris. And so Matarazzo did make an offer to remove at $12,450 using roll-off containers. But Carl went out on his own, which I appreciate, and I think it's probably a better solution. Reached out to Gary Gray Contracting, they walking floor demolition trailers, and they are $2,100 per floor trailer. And the anticipation is that it would not exceed more than 3 trailers, so you save about $6,000. So the recommendation is to ask for approval from the committee to contract with Matarazzo Excavation for the demolition, and then use Gary Gray for the removal of the property, the debris. So, can I have a motion to?
I'll make that motion. So Matarazzo for the demolition and second company for the removal.
Yes.
I'll second.
May roll call vote, please?
Keith?
Yes.
Lindsay?
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Randolph,
Yes,
Muir.
Yes. Thank you for that. We will get moving on that. The rest of my reports, just Steve brought up, the cleanup day is April 30th. We also have a clothing drive, and then we still offer pickup for seniors. So I had a couple of seniors reach out. So they need to contact our clerk and at the office if they need to pick up the week before, and DPW will come out and help do that. The newsletter is out, so it's the spring newsletter, so very exciting. Definitely, it's a community-focused newsletter. I'm talking about our volunteer opportunities and trying to bring us all back together after the pandemic and trying to rebuild connections within the community back on the township. And then along those lines, our recreation booster club is back and functioning. So they'll eventually come to one of these meetings and present to the rest of the committee, but I met with them. They have a new executive board, some wonderful new leadership, some younger families taking over. They've submitted their new bylaws, naming new officers. They'll get all their financial information into the CFO with all the updated tax filings, and they'll be back on track. So for those who would like to volunteer and be involved with the Rec Booster, they will be at the volunteer fair on May 14th. They get to meet the new leadership and help support them in the youth sports programs. And they're also committed to their bylaws state that they provide recreation for all of Bethlehem Township. So one of their representatives is going to attend one of the senior meetings too, to find out what opportunities they'd like to partner with Rec for senior activities also. So I'm excited that the new group seems to be open to working with the whole gamut of age groups within Bethlehem Township to get things done. The only other two things, just because of our last meeting before this happens, just as a note for residents, it doesn't affect too many businesses in Bethlehem, but the plastic bag ban goes into effect May 4th. And so just as a kind of a point of note to prepare for that, Bag Up New Jersey, if you Google that, is the Clean Communities page, which will help you better prepare for not having plastic bags in most of the stores that you're used to seeing them. And with that, I'll also just recognize that tomorrow is Earth Day. So that is the end of my report. Any questions?
Hey, Paul, I got a quick question.
Yeah.
Who was dealing with Gary Gray? Was that you calling for prices?
Carl gave him a call.
All right, because I know, Gary and his son, so maybe I think about going up there and see if they can do any better on the price. Like I said, I know them, so
Okay. Sounds
I'll take
good.
a shot at it. I'm not going to guarantee anything, but I'll go up and talk to them.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you, Steve.
No problem.
There's nothing for executive session unless, I didn't hear anybody say anything, so unless something else, but if not, got a motion open for public session.
make the motion, open up the public comments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
The public on the video or in person? Suzanne Wilder?
Actually, Carl had something to say. Why don't you get him and then I'll be after him?
Can't see the whole screen.
Sure, yeah, we have our message before my screen. Carl, go ahead.
Yeah, Paul. I think you got the bids wrong on the barn.
Okay,
We're supposed to pay for the trailers,
yes,
and between Charlie and D&B Construction, that was, I don't have those with me tonight. And I'm not quite sure which one was which, but I believe it's gonna take about 7 or 8 trailer loads.
oh, at the 2100,
Yes,
okay,
just so you're aware of it,
okay, those less of those larger trailers.
right?
It's still, I will say, so it's still, if I look at that, it's still less because Charlie's his bid of 12.4 still included us paying for the roll-up containers.
Okay. Yeah, and the problem is, see, with Gary Gray, we can only get 2 a day. He would have to fill one he would take it to the transfer station, dump it and come back. And we might not, it might be a day here, a day there.
So
Not
would you
constant.
prefer to have him at our outside with the 12.4, and then we're still paying? So if you have 7 of those trailers, it's 14.7 for the trailers from Gary Gray. And the proposal for Charlie to load them all is still 12.4 plus the cost of a roll-off bin, and each roll-off bin is probably $500 a piece. And they're smaller, so we probably need twice as many.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
I mean, just so you're aware of, the trailers.
Okay,
that.
I appreciate the correction. When you and I
Yeah,
discussed, yeah, okay. No,
All right.
sounds good. When you and I
All right,
discussed,
thank you.
it's still the least expensive route versus having Charlie do everything.
I have a question. None of this is covered by any type of insurance that the town would have, if that's town property?
That's a good question.
Probably not. I'll look into the
Could you?
contract, yeah.
Okay.
Suzanne?
A few things. Again, thank Carl and the DPW. I ran into some of them on Blackbrook Road and they knew who I was and so friendly. So thank you, because it makes me feel like I'm not that old, and it's nice to have a township feel because I live on the county road. So
Do you buy spoon blanks or do you?
so thank you. Another thing is to a few other things. Paul Lindsay, thank you for putting my photos in the newsletter. I didn't even realize you had got them because I never heard a response from you. So it's very nice. They were very pleasantly surprised today. And then I'd like to say thank you to Art and Steve from last week for not getting into a tit for tat and very professionally not getting into it with the public comments that were said at that meeting. So I applaud your professionalism on that. And one last thing, it's still a little bit hard to hear you guys. I can hear you, but it's somewhat muffled. So I don't want to complain too much because I just really appreciate being able to sit in my house for the meetings, but just letting you know. So thank you.
That's good feedback. So we're trying to overcome the acoustics in the room as a whole. So one thing we do is try to keep speaking louder and make sure that everybody can hear.
Real quick, Paul.
Yes.
Suzanne, is it one particular area? Because I'm sitting on the one end and you have Mr. Brodnick on the far end, or is it just an overall, we've got to just speak louder, maybe a little slower?
I think it's very hard to hear you and the attorney. So I think definitely on the ends is harder. And it's not that you can't hear, it's somewhat muffled, I guess. But it could just be bad too, so.
We'll have a recording of this meeting, so we'll be able to go back finally and see exactly what the problems are.
And you can audio tune it?
There's some things we can do to tune it a little bit, and there might be some things we need to do to tune the room. There might be a couple of places where there's bad reflections that we could put, we might have to maybe move things like some of those material hangings, wall hangings,
Okay.
might be helpful in some places.
Okay. We'll keep working on it, Suzanne. That's the key.
Thank you.
Is it better than last time?
I think so, a little bit better, yeah. Mhm.
Very good. Thank you. Teresa?
Hi, thank you. I agree with Suzanne that the sound is a little bit muffled. It's a little hard to hear. But my question was, I know Mr. Decker's not here today, but I wanted to see if there was any update on the truck business that appears to be operating at the old quarry on 173.
Mr. Mullen is going to be going out there to talk to them about. So I don't have an update yet until he goes out there, but it's been noticed and it's being addressed.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comment on the video? Any public comment in public? Motion to close public comment?
Make a motion to close public comment.
I'll second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And happy birthday to Dawn.
Yeah, excellent meeting, everybody. Thank you.
According to that, it's